Hi, I'm Dr. Glenn Pickering, the relationship doctor, and the founder of a company called Beginning Now Ministries, which is designed to help Christians learn how to have better relationships with each other and with our God. Now, today I want to talk to you about the connection between our faith and our relationships, a topic that's super important to me. Now, when I tell people what I do for a living, that I help Christians learn how to have better relationships with God and with each other, I often get one of three kind of funny reactions. First, I get sort of the puzzled reaction. Like, but Glenn, don't people just naturally know how to do relationships? Aren't we born knowing how to do relationships? And I'm here to tell you, that's actually not true. In fact, exactly the opposite is true. We don't come here knowing how to do relationships, and most of the stuff we learn along the way is actually incredibly unhelpful. Most people actually get worse and worse at their relationships over time, which sounds odd, but I promise you that it's true. You ask a person who's been married for 10 or 20 or 30 years, is this the happiest you've ever been in your relationship? And see, if they use the strategies that I teach them, they're going to say, yes, of course, absolutely. But see, if they're going by all the worldly things they learned along the way, which actually damage the relationship over time, they're going to look at me puzzled like, oh, how can you be married 20 years and be happier than you were at first? And I think to myself, you really don't get it. You play by the world's games and you don't know exactly how to play the way God teaches us how to do relationships. So no, it is not natural to us. We're not born knowing how. In fact, mostly we have to unlearn a whole bunch of stuff we learned along the way if we want to form really great relationships. The second funny look I get is sort of a condescending one, like, well, Glenn, you have an engineering degree, you have a master in divinity, you're an ordained pastor, you have a PhD in psychology. Shouldn't there be something, more important you should be teaching people? Like how to have a deeper faith or start a relationship with Christ or something like that. And the third sort of funny reaction I get is sort of dismissive, like, well, yeah, I suppose for a Christian that'd be a good thing to work on, I suppose, to learn how to do better relationships. And I think, see, here's what they don't understand. Relationships are not just, a kind of good thing to be working on. They're not an okay thing to be working on. They're the only thing to work on. Jesus said, when he's asked the question, what's the most important commandment? I love that he cheats and gives them two, right? And he does that because he says they're so interrelated. The second is so like unto the first that you really can't separate them. You can't do them separately. You can only do them together. In fact, you can't even understand one without the other. And the two rules, of course, are we're to love our God with all our heart and all our might, and to love our neighbor as ourselves. And neighbor means everybody we bump into, including the people we can't stand, like the Samaritans, for example. So there's really only two things we need to get right, too. We need to get our vertical relationship right with God. We need to get our horizontal relationships right with everybody in the world. And all the rest of our life will fall in place exactly as it should. Every law is contained in those two laws. Now, so many people, so many Christians, they think faith is a list of rules or a bunch of shoulds, some sort of chore or burden. But Jesus said, my yoke is light. And here's what that means. Yoke means the list of the rules that a rabbi expected the people in his community, the people who followed him, to obey. And, each rabbi had a little different set of rules that they emphasized. But in general, they all taught that you should do all 682 of the rules. Now you can see why that burden, that yoke, was heavy. But Jesus said, my yoke is light. You have two rules. Two. Even a child can remember that. Love your God with all your heart, all your might, and your neighbor as yourself. See, our religion, our faith, our Christianity is not supposed to be a chore. It's not supposed to be a burden. That's crazy. See, and so if we could drop all the junk that we've been taught and learn how to have a loving relationship with a God who adores us, we would know peace and joy. And if we could unlearn all the relationship-wrecking habits that we've developed that the world taught us, and replace those habits with powerful ways to care for the people in our lives, we could have that amazing life, that big, abundant life that Jesus said we should have. and our life would not be a chore. It would not be a burden. It'd be so fun and so joyful and so interesting that we literally wouldn't know what was going to happen next. Yeah, fun, joyful, interesting. That's the life I want for you. A real, true Christian life, defined by two things and two things only. We have a right relationship with our loving God and a right relationship with one another. Now, if you want to learn how to build that life, I would invite you to join the free Beginning Now community, where you will learn tons of simple but powerful ways that you can build those kinds of relationships starting now. Now, as a part of this loving community, you have free anytime access to the teaching videos like this. There are also webinars you can tune into, question and answer calls you can participate in whenever you want, and people like yourself who are literally learning step by step alongside you. It's my way of giving back, and it can be your way of starting your new abundant life. I do hope that you get started, beginning now. I'll see you next time. You take care.